President Emmerson Mnangagwa and his political fixers are trying to nail Vice President Constantino Chiwenga over his ally, Deputy Health Minister John Mangwiro's scandal of causing state-owned medical supplies entity NADFAM to award a $5.6 million COVID-19 tender to a Chinese company in which he had a personal interest, reporters were told. This is part of the ongoing power struggle between Mnangagwa and Chiwenga, who are fighting over who should rule the country from 2023. Mnangagwa and Chiwenga were close allies in 2017 when they toppled the late former President Robert Gabriel Mugabe, but no sooner had their mentor gone than they started fighting in a new power struggle. Informed sources this week told reporters that Mnangagwa and his allies, through the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission, the ZAC, and the Special Anti-Corruption Unit, the SACU, are pushing to implicate and nail Chiwenga into the corrupt deal. Mangwiro intervened after the NADFAM had blocked the Chinese company in which he had an undeclared interest, Young Healthcare Limited, from getting a tender to supply vital COVID-19 materials. This even after the Young Healthcare had reduced its inflated quote by a staggering $2.6 million. After an investigation, ZAC recommended that Mangwiro, Chiwenga's deputy, and his personal physician be investigated and prosecuted for criminal abuse of office. The actions of the deputy minister signal a personal interest in the tender, and this should have prompted him to declare his interest. A stinging internal ZAC memo leaked to online media. First to ZimLive said, after a review of tender net TCB FWWK 04-2020 for the supply of laboratory equipment, reagents, and consumables for COVID-19 to NADFAM. This shady deal came soon after the $60 million COVID-19 supply scandal involving Drugs International, local businessman Delish Ngwaya, and Mnangagwa's family. Sources said this week ZAC is pressuring the Procurement Regulatory Authority of Zimbabwe officials to say that Mangwiro was acting under instruction from Chiwenga while he was in China over the corrupt deal. What is happening here is this. ZAC and SACU think that Chiwenga is the one behind Mangwiro in the deal. Their story is that when Chiwenga was in China, he brokered the deal and then assigned Mangwiro to execute, a source told reporters. They say Chiwenga wanted to bring the supplies through Mangwiro from China, where he had gone for medical reviews. But since it was urgent, they decided to send a plane to deliver instead of waiting for him to bring the materials, which they initially thought of. For that to happen, Mangwiro had to prevail over the NADFAM to give Young Healthcare a supply contract. That's where the PRAS people came into the equation over adjudication. In a bid to get his way, Mangwiro became desperate and even called them during awkward times like around 10 p.m. to secure the tender. They say this was because he was under pressure from his own boss, Chiwenga. Now, ZAC wants PRAS officials to say that Chiwenga was involved, that he is the principal in the deal and Mangwiro was just a runner. Another source added, this might all be true, but then the problem is that the whole issue is now political. It's now a power struggle issue. ZAC's investigation over the tender, carried out between August the 31st and September the 4th, says one of the Health Ministry's directors, Dr. Gibson Klanga, then acting Health Secretary, wrote to NADFAM on July the 15th, 2020, instructing the company to make direct procurement of supplies from Young Healthcare. ZAC said this was in violation of PRAZ Circular 1 of 2020, which decrees that only PRAZ listed suppliers are sources of COVID-19 supplies. Initial quotation by Young Healthcare for supply of commodities under direct procurement, where prices quoted by Young Healthcare Limited were exorbitant, amounted to $5.6 million US, which was coincidentally the same amount that was in the ministry coffers, suggesting that the company had inside information, the ZAC report has said. Zach said after NatFarm insisted on a competitive bidding process, Mangwiro, a medical doctor appointed to deputy minister in September 2018, demanded that the tender be delayed to allow Young Healthcare to register with PRAS. When NatFarm insisted on competitive bidding, Young Healthcare Limited subsequently submitted a bid price of $3.6 million US for the same items. This saw a reduction of 36% in the price, the report has said. Zach said when the emergency 48-hour tender was finally floated on 5 August and closed on August the 7th, 22 bidders, including Young Healthcare Limited, made bids. The Young Healthcare, according to the ZAC probe, missed out on the tender. ZAC, citing then acting NatFarm Managing Director Zilas Nyabaza, said this angered Mangwiro, who summoned the company's top managers late at night to explain why the tender was not awarded to Young Healthcare Limited. The deputy minister also demanded that a purchase order be issued that same night. The adjudication team was picked from their homes around 10 p.m. and were interrogated by Mangwiro until the early hours of the following day. The deputy minister threatened the team with dismissal for failing to award Young Healthcare the contracts, the report said. Zach also found out that Young Healthcare had also been given a purchase order by NatFarm for nucleic acid purification machines, transport media, and reagents. After delivering on 2 of the 4 purification machines and about 6% of the other 2 orders, the company reportedly requested an advance contrary to the terms and conditions of the contract signed with NatFarm, which stipulates that payment should be made 7 days after delivery. The equipment received by NatFarm was worth $124,630 US. Mangwiro insisted on prepayment and tasked the technical team from NatFarm Procurement to visit Young Healthcare Limited in their country office and verify available stock in order to compel the NatFarm acting MD to make a prepayment to Young Healthcare Limited, the report also said. The verification team found that items amounting to $127,643 US were in stock instead of $922,000 US requested for prepayment. In the end, Zach said Mangwiro's alleged actions violated the evaluation process since the technical team did not have the mandate to carry out the verification of supplies. Nyabaza wrote to the Health Ministry Permanent Secretary Jesper Chimedza on August the 26th that, informing him of the prepayment issue and seeking guidance on how to proceed, but received no reply, prompting him to decline taking Mangwiro's instruction to prepay Young Healthcare. Given the extent to which the deputy minister was involved in the said tender process, indications are that he was acting on his own capacity and not on behalf of the ministry. The conduct of the deputy minister during the tender process warrants further investigations for criminal abuse of office for possible violation of Section 174 of the Criminal Law Codification Act, Chapter 9, the report has said. Apart from this provision, further investigations should be conducted to ascertain possible violation of Section 14 of the Public Finance Management Act, Chapter 22, by the Deputy Minister through giving ministerial directives having financial implications when he demanded prepayment of undelivered goods to Young Healthcare. There is need for further investigations into the possible violation of the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Act, Chapter 22, as the conduct of the Deputy Minister might have compromised the independence of NatFarm as a procurement entity. Sources said this issue shows that the anti-corruption campaign has now become the new political battleground between Mnangagwa and his vice president, Constantino Chiwenga.